Race 5 of RORC's 2007 programme got underway on Saturday morning from Cowes. Before the start, the fleet displayed their storm jibs to race officers as required by the rules and set up for an easterly start. The first start from the squadron line at 8:30 was for Class 2 and 3. It was a spinnaker start, and while many were quick off the mark, not everyone was ready to hoist, and some crews took a while to get settled down. Those that were sailing double-handed had more of an excuse than the fully crewed boats. Classes 1, 0 and Super 0 started 10 minutes later, and many of them also struggled to get their kites under control. With a strong south-southeasterly breeze and a ripping flood tide, the fleet shot up the Solent towards the forts on the first leg of its round-the-Cannes offshore race. Chris Little's bounder was revelling in the conditions and stormed through the smaller boats ahead, closely followed by Fidessa Fastwave, but neither of these two boats were to finish the race. Just astern, Chernakeep 2 swung into a broach and gave a nearby Sigma a scare, but she recovered to take line honours with an elapsed time of 17 hours, winning Class Super 0 in the process. Diablo J was one of the many J's sailing two-handed, and she went on to take fourth in Class 2 and second double-handed boat. Mike Greville's Kerr 39 Erivale was going well at this stage, but she was one of several boats which didn't finish the race. Full results are available on RORC's website. JOG's race to Yarmouth started at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, with the fleet being sent eastwards at the start of a 25-mile race that would finish in Yarmouth before a return race on Sunday. The 19 starters in Class 5 were first away, with Alchemist making her usual excellent start, while the rest of the fleet were very line-shy. Alchemist led the way east, ahead of Electra, Heritage, Aviva and Electron, which were all tightly bunched. At the end of a rough race, it was Electron which took the honours, ahead of Alchemist in second, with Shadowfax third. Class 4 was next away with 7 starters. This class was very line-shy, and they were led away by J-Dream, but she went the wrong side of Trinity Houseboy and had to return to re-round, and she later retired. Class 4 was won by No Doubt, ahead of Domain, with Just Alcoholic in third. Class 3 had 8 starters and was won by Bounty Hunter. It was the Royal Corinthian Yacht Club's round of the Cowes Keelboat Solent Series this weekend, and 9 Darings came to the club's shoreline for a windy race in tough conditions. With the first mark of East Bramble, the fleet was surprisingly uncertain of the best place to start, with many starting inshore, while only Division Bell started at the outer end of the line. That was the right place to be, and Division Bell immediately opened up a large lead as she powered downwind. Furthest inshore was Dynamite, which was caught out by the gusts under the land and eventually saw her spinnaker ripped to shreds. Out in stronger but steadier breeze, Division Bell tore downwind. Darius was also flying in the wind against tide waves and 25 knots of breeze, and she had Dreamer not far behind. After taking a while to get her spinnaker set after the start, Audax was now flying and was benefiting from taking a direct line to the mark, following in Division Bell's wake. At East Bramble it was Division Bell by a country mile, while astern, Audax had moved through into second place, ahead of Darius in third. Double Knot rounded next, ahead of Daring Do. The next leg was a beat with the tide to Gale's HSB on the island shore, and Division Bell powered upwind. In second place, Audax was also revelling in the strong conditions and keeping a close eye on Darius to leeward. At Gale's HSB, Division Bell headed off downwind and chose not to set a spinnaker as the wind strength continued to increase. Behind her came Audax, which was the first to set a spinnaker in an attempt to narrow the gap to Division Bell. The leader responded and hoisted her own kite, although at times she was on the edge of control. Division Bell led around South Bramble by a substantial margin. But in second came Darius, which had passed Audax when they broached and trawled their spinnaker. At the finish it was Division Bell with a well-deserved and runaway victory. Darius was 2.5 minutes astern, 50 seconds ahead of Audax in third. Eight Dragons came to the start of their race in the Cowes Keelboat Solent Series. This year they've changed their start time, so we don't see so much of them. But when we did find them in mid-Solent, they were flying downwind. You don't often see Dragons going this fast. Chris Britton's Caramba won this race, ahead of Njord, with Cavalier third. After the rough, tough sailing of Saturday, Sunday brought the opposite conditions, with no wind in the central Solent. The race officer postponed to wait for wind, but racing was eventually abandoned, and crews enjoyed an early lunch in the sunshine. Join us next week for news of all the bank holiday weekend racing from Cowes.